Great. So good morning.
Good morning.
For those that are here in person, which you can't see on the screen because they're sitting beside you, or for people that were recording, I think Christy Carlacha kind of watch this later. Got all these hands sticking out. Like some horror movie. So today we're talking about listings. Listings is what our focus is. Listing creates leverage for your business. If you can create listing leads, you will get leverage. And so before I jump into this, I probably should have put this in a slide. I didn't, but I'm putting it now. I want to talk for a second just about why listings are so important. So if you go and look at anybody that has been successful in the real estate industry for a long period of time, and you look at the business, you're going to find the commonality is they carry listings. And there's a couple of reasons why that's so important. One, if you're carrying listings, you're creating business for yourself. Like you're literally creating business because every time you get a listing, they're going to tell you as an average, you're going to have 3 transactions. You're going to have a listing transaction that you're selling. You're very potentially going to have a buying transaction from what those people are buying. And typically you're going to see at least one direct connected referral that is connected to something that happens by you. You meet a buyer through the process. You meet a neighbor that wants to list their house. And so it generates business for you. That's one reason why listings are so very powerful. A couple of things that are important, I'm trying to remember my thoughts because I didn't actually have them in the notes, is that when you are getting listings, when you're actually doing the work to create listings for yourself, there's a couple of things that are great about them. One is that you control your business. Your business does not control you. I don't know if you guys have ever done this with buyers, but buyers, with all those buyer specialists, that's great. I'm not a buyer specialist. I never have been, and never will be. If I were going to die and go to hell, that would be what it would look like. Buyers around all day long, okay? Because buyers dictate your schedule so much. When you're working with nothing but buyers, it's, hey, I want to go look now. I want to go now. I'm available now. I'm going to. That's great for servicing your buyers. But as a listing agent, you get to dictate the schedule. You dictate when it's a good time to look at the house. Let's look at your house at this time when it's nice and sunny out. Let's have a photographer come at this time when it's great. Let's have it go on the market on this time. You're not being dictated by now. You get to actually plan and schedule and run your business like a business. Doesn't mean that there won't be some times that you have to adjust, but you just get to control your time frame in your business so much more when your primary business is driven by listings. Secondly, you get to control your revenue. Like you can see and project what your revenue is going to be when you know that, hey, as what I do, I carry this many listings, and those listings, I'm going to put them on the market. I know that I'm successful in selling them, so I can actually see what my market share is going to be for this year. With buyers, you're subject to, will anybody want to buy a house? Yes, no, maybe you can track how many buyers you have, and yes, there's ways to track that as well. But with listings, if you know, hey, I do these things, I get this many listings, I can actually project what my revenue is going to be with a lot more stability to know this is my baseline for my business. Then all my buyers and extra stuff is just add-ons for that. The last thing I think is great about listings before we get into this is that I just lost my thought. Time management, control your business. I can't remember what the third thing was. I had a third thing. It will come back. At some point, I'll think about it and I'll be like, this is why you want to have listings. But anyway, just having that stability, having that ability to time management are huge things for what you're doing when you're growing your business. So let's talk about this a little bit. We're talking about today. So just to be clear, today is not a listing conversion class. It's not how to sit down, hold a listing appointment, and really slam dunk that. It's not about price house. We're talking about where are listings and how do we go out and get them. And some of the stuff I'm going to get into detail, and some of the stuff I want to tell you, I come back in a minute. Not really, but yes. Okay, so where are listings at? So the first thing I'm going to tell you is that you're not going to get listings. People, I was talking about getting listings. I'm going to tell you that's a bad vocabulary for getting listings. You need to go out and find listings. You need to create listings. You need to take listings. You need to be an assertive person. I can guarantee that if you ever talk to someone who's like, you look at their business and 99% of their business is working with buyers, and you ask them, why don't you carry listings? They'll tell you, well, I don't know why, I just don't ever get any listings. That is the phrase they'll use. And it's always hilarious to me, because if you think about someone who worked with 12 to 15 clients last year and did 15 transactions and they were all buyer driven, I guarantee some of those 15 people sold their house. I guarantee those 15 people knew people that are selling their houses. But that agent missed out on all that business because they were waiting for something to fall in their lap, and listings do not fall in your lap. Again, if we're building a business that's driven by what I do to succeed, then I need to make sure I'm doing the right things to see the success I want. And part of that is going to be by creating a business that cultivates and creates listings. You're going to find in this marketplace, I guarantee this year, there was like 300 something, I haven't checked recently. About a month ago, there was already 300 something agents that had left the marketplace. Okay, so I know some of you guys are hearing.
Yes.
We talked about it a lot of the broker conference we have about how this market is going to be for professionals. It's going to be for pros. People that can go, listen, I need to do my business. How do I do my business? How do I generate my business? And part of that is going to be by learning how to create listing opportunities and then convert them. And we'll have some other classes that will be following us up. Susan told me this morning driving in. We are going to do a listing conversion class. We are going to do a listing presentation class to follow this up, so that we're not having you go chase fish and then not teaching you how to create a career. So, but anyway, here are some of the key areas where you're going to be able to create listing opportunities. One, through referrals. We're going to talk about each of these. Two, through for sale by owners. Three, through expired listings. Four, through farming. Five, prospecting calls. The sixth one is canvassing that I have, and then social media. And then I put a question. There are probably things, if you sat and thought about it outside of this, where you can come up with listing opportunities. I'm going to turn that off. Sorry. So we're going to talk about a few of these. We're going to talk about all of them. That's why I put them on the list. Okay, so first let's talk a little bit about referrals. Referrals should be where people are actually saying, hey, this person wants to list their house. This is someone you hopefully should know. You want to identify who would provide them first. So am I talking to someone that I just closed a transaction with? Am I talking to a client that I'm currently working with? There's no common misnomer that, well, I'm currently working with them. When I'm done working with them, then I'm going to make sure to ask them for a referral. Hope you don't forget to ask that question on the way out the door. But if I'm spending, an hour and a half every week showing them properties, going to their inspections, I should be having a lot of conversations. That's a great time to have a conversation about people they know that are looking to buy. We want to create a process to get to them. Okay, so maybe I'm literally laying out that, hey, part of my process is that when I'm doing inspections and I'm sitting there with a buyer in the inspection for an hour and a half, twiddling our thumbs, talking about nothing, this is when I do it. This is when I start the conversation for referral. I'm going to lead into, oh, are you guys so excited about buying your house? The inspection seems to be going really good. This is like the last major hurdle you got to get through as far as knowing that this is what you want. We'll talk about all this stuff later. This is one of the things a lot of people find really intimidating, and I try to make it great by doing this, this, and this. Do you know anybody? Or have any of your friends ever talked about having to go through this process? Like, what have you heard about inspections from your friends that were buying or selling houses? Like, you can sit down and figure out what the verbiage is for you, but literally creating a process. So when I say create a process, I don't mean think thoughts. Okay, we talked about, I spent a whole hour session this week talking with brokers about time blocking. Literally, how do they specifically put time blocks in their calendar? That's all we talked about. All we talked about was different brokers talking about how they use Google Calendar to block. Well, I do at this time. One guy was talking about the night before he goes to bed. He literally sits down and looks at his day and goes, do I have everything in my day that I need? He has a process that he sits in and writes down exactly what's going to happen. So you need to create a process for that. If I'm going to talk to him during an inspection period, I would actually make some notes. This is my list of how I do it. This is my plan of what I'm going to do, what I'm going to say, how I'm going to lead the conversation. Okay? There are, so I'm going to pick on top. I guarantee that there were things that you said on a consistent basis that opened up the door to talk about Advocare when Advocare was a big deal on that. Like, you had figured out, this is the thing I asked. Hey, so do you work out a lot? Or like, Are you looking to trim down a little bit, or like what you had conversational starters to do that? Figure out what those are, map those out. If your process is that, hey, I'm going to present them something at closing, then great. Figure out what that process is and define it. Define exactly what you want to ask. Okay. Do I want to ask, hey, so do you know anybody that's looking to buy or sell a house? That's a very generic question. Hey, I really enjoyed working with you guys. Did you guys enjoy the process working with me? You did? That's so awesome. Would you mind doing me a favor? I've got just a little referral form that really helps me out for marketing in the future. Would you mind just making a few notes and answering these questions? And on my little form, I've got, what is the thing you loved about working with Jared Brown? What is something that you thought Jared could improve on? Who are 3 people you know that are looking to buy a house in the next year? Name, phone number, email. Specifically asking who are those people. Maybe you're not that drunk, but you got to figure out what that is. If they ask, well, what was it's a lot of questions here. Well, if it's all right, I'm going to take the thing that you said that I did really good, and I'm going to put it on my social media. I'm going to put it on my Google reviews for a review out there that'll really help me out and save you the time I'm going to mess with it. And the thing you're telling me that you think I need to work on, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go get better, so that when I call Bob and Susie, I'm awesome at that. Anyway, you need to figure what that is. If you're like, hey, I don't know what that is, any of the stuff we'll tell you to do today, if you're like, I need help with that, me and Susan would love to help you through it. This is one of my great friends, Joel Doherty. He said this with kind of a smirk and a smile, and apparently my apostrophe got substituted. It's supposed to be a T there. So this is what happens when you're finalizing presentations on your way home from Missouri. But he always tells me all the time. So he's an investor. He invests in a lot of businesses. I joke that he's kind of like a local Shark Tank guy. But he always says, you can't get your ask if you don't ask your ask. You've got to ask your ask of people that you know, of clients that you have, of people you work with. You will not get referrals. Hold on, this. You may get referrals by some people, but you're typically going to get referrals by the people who think you're awesome, and they're like cheerleader people. Okay? So I'm just going to be real candid because I'm in that mood today. Pamela is a cheerleader person. She's like a, yes. She champions people. She's vocal about it. She's verbal about it. You know, to me, I'm like, do I think that if I thought I was going to get a referral for a real estate agent who wants to join our office, totally wouldn't surprise me if Pamela does it, because that's Pamela's personality. She's vocal, she's verbal, she's a cheerleader. That's who she is. Do I think Todd Clifton will refer us to someone if they were asking for a good real estate place and they wanted to become an agent? He totally would. But he might not as much as Pamela, because Pamela's more cheerleader. And he's more like conversational. You know, do I think Todd Peterson would? Absolutely. But do I think he's going to go out and start the conversation? No. But I guarantee if I called my brother Todd and said, hey, bro, can you tell me 3 agents you've worked with in the last year that you think would be good for our office? And I had that conversation, I asked that ask, he'd definitely be like, yeah, here you are. So there's different personality styles. And we got to realize that we may have 3 people in our list of people we know that would refer us, but we'll never get the referrals if we don't ask that question. Okay? And so we've got to ask the question.
I like that form that you all had supplied after a transaction that said, did you enjoy working with this agent? Would they be a good fit? I like that form because I haven't gotten one in a while. So
Okay, we'll check that.
That's the problem we should have to remedy.
yeah, because that is good. And I like to kind of evaluate the agent I worked with and you know, just between us, so you know if that's somebody worth going after. No, I thought they were unethical, or I thought they could be good for the office with further training, you know, type thing.
Well, it's good for you too, because you may have a bump in the road in the process that irritated you, but then when you get to the end of it, you may have had, well, yeah, I know that we had that kind of issue, but actually overall, and so you leave knowing, is this an agent I actually want to work with again?
Right.
Overall, or you know, is it not? And so. But something like that is a great thing for you to create for your clients.
Yes.
Kind of a, hey, closing this out. What did you think about the process? What do you think about this? But again, part of being successful in business is creating duplicatable processes. Like everybody that we talk to that's successful has a process, has a system for how they do stuff to do it over and over again. So for some owners, I'm not going to get in the weeds in this one. there are tons of opportunity for listings with for sale by owners. One, because they want to sell their house and they don't know what they're doing. That should be like, I tell people all the time, I think for sale by owners are great opportunities for listings because they literally put a sign in the yard that says, I want to sell my house. I don't know what I'm doing. And everybody I know that's a realtor, I think sucks so bad that I won't use them. I'm putting a sign in the yard. I know that sounds harsh, but that's the reality, is that I guarantee if you ask someone for sale by owner, they know someone who's in real estate and they chose not to use them for some reason, which means I've already beat out all the competition because they already think everybody else sucks. They just need to see how awesome I am, what I provide to them, and to be able to create that relationship. So as you can see, I went into great depth in describing what we're going to do for sale by owners. We're going to do the Momentum Bootcamp. Then we're going to go out, we're going to work that process. And we have updated our Momentum Bootcamp. Originally, it was a tangible, like in-person written paper kind of thing. We recreated that back during COVID to give it all digital stuff. So you can actually do it by phone, by digital, sending emails, sending texts. We transposed all those value proposition pieces to provide to them to make them easy and quickly to send. So it's not like I got to drive by all the time. And then you're going to do the Momentum Bootcamp again. And then you're going to go work the process. And if I had time, I would just and then do the Momentum Bootcamp again. I tell you, years ago, we had a young lady that joined our office. She was brand new. She was willing to do for sale by owners. She did this. In her first 2 months, she closed 4 or 5 transactions. She closed 4 transactions. 3 of them were for sale by owners that she picked up, listed, and sold. And I guarantee the only reason why she didn't see continued success is because she stopped doing what she was doing. She got away from what she was doing and working the process, and so then it dropped off. So I want to encourage you. One point we talked about last night, if you're finding for sale by owners, we can talk about how to do that in the class. If you decide to come in and do a Momentum Bootcamp, I'm happy to do that 1-on-1, 2-on-2, 7-on-7, whatever. One thing to be advised in that is if you're chasing down for sale by owners, looking on Zillow and going off of them saying for sale by owner is not a reliable source. And the reason why is because if they're on Zillow and it says for sale by owner, there is a possibility that it's going to say on that listing that it's a MLS listing only. And so if it's a limited service listing that's on Zillow for sale by owner quotations, you cannot approach them. Okay, so if you're trying to find a way to get for sale by owner leads and opportunities, we can talk about this in the class. There's a number of different ways to do that.
Say that again. You can't.
So if someone has a listed service listing, they paid someone to put it in MLS for them. It's technically listed.
Okay.
Even though they're calling it for sale by owner. On Zillow, you may pull something up and Zillow's telling you this is for sale by owner because it's a limited service listing. But if you look below, it'll say offered by Trinity Properties, limited service listing. And if you call that person, you're making an ethics violation within OIC because technically it is listed. So we've had people that are like, oh yeah, now Zillow tells you they're for sale by owner, so that's an easy way to go find them. No, not necessarily. Really, that's an easy way to get yourself in trouble. So we talk about in the class a number of different ways to come up with for sale by owner leads, opportunities, where to find them, how to find them, places to network to get them, and we can talk about that more if you want to do for sale by owner stuff.
There was one close by my neighborhood that had a for sale by owner sign this week, and I mean that sign popped up, and I was like, "Well, hello, I'm going in there." So I drove in, took a picture of his house, called him. And the guy answered, and I was like, "Hey, I'd like to come by and take a look at your property. I have a buyer." I really did have a buyer for this one, and but I'd like to preview it because it was for sale by owner. I figured it would probably not be showing well. So then I went to my house, started to make other appointments for the buyer, and I was like, I'm just going to see how long when that guy bought the house. So I went in MLS and it was listed with a discount broker, and I was like, oh. But I mean, I did still go preview it, and I liked the house. It showed terribly, and it didn't work for my buyer, but I could have violated, had an ethics violation had I, continued to pursue him or something. I mean, it worked out, but that was a lesson to me that just because it's a for sale by owner sign in the yard does not mean it's 100% that way. So go check it against the MLS.
Yeah, so I will tell you that if you approach a for sale by owner sign for sale owner sign in the yard, there is not a real estate sign in the yard.
Yeah.
There's not a realtor sign in the yard, and you approach them personally, up front, in person, you contact them, and you start that conversation, you will be in the clear.
I did, yeah.
You'll be in the clear even if it's in MLS. And this is the reason why, you know, there's a reason why for some other class talks about approaching them in person, knocking on the door, saying, how you doing? Because you can do that. There's a reason too why typically most of the people that do limited service listings actually have their sign in the yard. Because if their sign is in the yard, you can't do that.
Right.
And so it's kind of a loophole, but it's one of the reasons why, you know, we recommend don't search for some owners online, because as soon as you find out that it's in MLS, well, now
And I
you
never look online for them. I just happened to on that day after I had contacted him, you know.
So, and you never know, keep track of it, it might fall off and then
Yeah.
read it too. So next up, I have no idea why that graphic is in there. It's an interesting picture. though.
Well, the well in your hand.
I think it like so popular. The graphic.
Expired.
The world is yours.
Yes.
Take it. Money.
So expired, one, we have a Atlanta boot camp that talks about this in depth. Any of these things we're talking about, we have specific training for each of them that we can walk you through. So I'm gonna say you can go through the process, you know, same thing. I'm gonna tell you on expireds, some of this stuff you gotta realize that you need to understand the process and then realize you got to work the process and it's not immediate. I talk all the time about how real estate is not linear. It's not A plus B equals C. It's A plus D plus E plus F plus G plus dump all the alphabets in the bowl. And then if you look at it long enough, you'll start to see words, okay? And so expireds is a great opportunity for lead generation for listings. But I'm gonna tell you, it needs to be something that you have a system and you have a process. We can talk about what that looks like for how to convert in the class. But people that are successful at doing expireds, they do it consistently. Like I tell us all the time, guy used to know every morning from 9 to 10 o'clock, that's what he did. Okay. In this day and age, I don't think you have to do it every morning. I think you do it every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, every Tuesday and Thursday, because there's just not as many expireds. But you have a system that goes, listen, every Tuesday and Thursday, I'm gonna look on my Redex, I'm gonna see what's out there, I'm gonna call the 5 people. I didn't get a hold of anybody. Oh well, I'm on, but I did my 30 minutes, I did my 45 minutes, I did my hour that morning. Realizing that I don't care if I make 10 crap calls that I don't talk to anybody every Tuesday and Thursday, but I did that every Tuesday, Thursday for let's say 50 weeks. So I've got 100 days that I spent making calls, 100 hours spent, and as a result, I got 2 listings, okay? I got 2 listings at an average sales price right now of $250,000. That means I got a $7,500 commission off those 2. I got paid $14,000 and I did 100 hours of lead generation. You can do the math on whether that works out, but I guarantee there's not a whole lot where you're making the same compensation for that amount of work. But again, it's understanding that this is a long game. It is I create that habit, I create that habit, I create that habit. Example that I use on stuff like this is weight loss, okay? I have to create a process and then trust my process, not my results. Too often, people with expireds or for sale by owners or whatever it is they're doing for lead generation, they go out and they get excited and they figure it out and they go do, and then they stop. They're like me. I go work for like a week and a half, 2 weeks. I'm like, man, I dropped like 10 pounds. I'm feeling great. Let's go eat some ice cream. And they get the initial result that they want, and then they focus on the benefit that the result provided instead of going, I'm going to work the process. I'm going to work the process. Or they work the process for a week or 2. This happens, same thing in weight loss. Hey, I've been eating healthy for like a day. 2 days, a week, whatever. Why haven't I dropped 10 pounds? And so they go, well, this doesn't work. And they abandon it because you've got to work the process and trust the process, not look at the results. Same thing with expired listings. So this is probably going to be something that I'm going to predict that this summer is going to increase in opportunity. And the reason why I think that is I think that there are a lot of people right now, immediately, and we'll probably see it over the next few months, that are overpricing properties. They're missing the market and they're over expecting because they're thinking that we're last year and we're this year. And so last year, if the market dictated that the value of like comps said the house was 250, then I can throw it out there for 280 and I'm gonna get it. This year, if the market says that the value is 250, you better be listing at 250. And maybe the market might bump it up 255 or 258 or whatever. But if you market it at 280, your client's gonna miss the window. They're gonna miss the opportunity. And I think what we're gonna see is we're gonna see a lot of people who overprice their house this year because they think they can still be insane. And they're gonna find out that sanity's come back and then they're gonna end up being expired. Or they may get released. So throw this out here. You can also search released houses as well and find that someone hired some agent, put it on the market for 30 or 45 days, got frustrated, released it, and now it's available again for you to pursue. Anyway, there's more on exactly how to do that. We're talking about identifying places farming. So this is typically like most people are going to farm a neighborhood. Identify your target neighborhood. So I'm going to substitute here because I didn't put this in here and I probably should have. But sorry, oops. People that are just trying to read the slides quickly and listen to the video are going to miss out on this. So you guys pay attention. Identify your target neighborhood, but also it doesn't have to be a neighborhood. Okay. I'm gonna come back to that thought. Remind me about farming when we get to social. Because so we'll stay focused on neighborhood. So identify your neighborhood and create a strategy that's unique to the area. If I'm gonna go market Woodland Glen, it's a neighborhood me and Susan lived in when we first got married, and that's the neighborhood market. I want to figure out what is my strategy for this market. Because marketing to Woodland Glen, which is like 180 to maybe 220 neighborhood, kind of entry-level homes, is not going to be the same market. If I'm going to go market to Greystone, which is down at like 117th and Sheridan, and it's all like 900,000 to $1.5 million homes. Like how I would market, what I would communicate, what I would say, how I would earn their business is going to be completely different. So I need to sit down, spend some time. Okay, I want to create the farm. I want to create on this neighborhood. For this neighborhood, this is going to be my strategy. I'm going to focus on first-time home buyers, rental opportunities, investment opportunities, low-income opportunities. Maybe I'm focusing on down payment assistance. And then I'm going to kind of lay out my strategy. Again, if you're trying to do this, you're like, I have no clue what you're talking about, Jared. Great. Call me. Let's set up a 30-minute meeting. I have so many 30-minute windows in my week that I could throw at you guys to help if you guys want. Create strategy for that area, and I'm going to lay that out. This is my strategy for that. I'm going to focus on, it's got rental opportunity for investors. It's got first-time home buyer opportunities. We can talk about down payment assistance programs. We can talk about it's in union schools. We can talk about how close, and I'm going to lay out and figure out what is my strategy going to be, and then I'm going to combine that with my outline for scheduled marketing. Okay, I really want to have 12 things that go out to them every year. I want to have something every month that they're seeing. Then what I'm going to do is in January, I'm going to do a door knocker. In February, I'm going to do like a postcard mail out. Maybe I'm rotating because I got to kind of budget because I can't do all 300 homes. So maybe the first month I'm doing these 100 homes and just kind of laying out that plan. When I say lay out a plan again, I'm not thinking about it. I'm thinking about it and I'm writing it down and I'm creating a plan and a strategy for what I'm going to do to that neighborhood. I'm just going to tell you, when I first got started, there was a house that was, I had a listing appointment. I did not get it. They listed with somebody else. But I was like, I know they're not going to sell it and I want that listing. Probably because I needed a paycheck and I knew for me, it was a big house. It was like a $420,000 house maybe or something. Like to me, that was huge. Like this is the way on. I can get this. That would be some. And so I wanted to get it, but I also knew that like I can't target that person realistically. But I can farm the neighborhood. I can farm the neighborhood all I want. But I was running out of money. I had been spent a ton of money, and so I came into the office. I started making these postcards of why we sell more, and how quickly we sell. This is in 2009. Trying to talk about how quickly you sell was a huge deal because nobody was selling anything. And then, you know what I did? I got all these postcards. I couldn't afford to mail them. So I literally went to the neighborhood, stuck one in every house. Then I went back a month later, stuck one in every house. Then I went back a month later. Then I got a phone call. Hey, we talked with you a while back about selling our house and we just got rid of our other agent because, they couldn't get it done. And I got the listing, I ended up selling the house. But I mean, I have literally gone to neighborhoods before that we wanted to market to. And so, I mean, I have 4 kids, so that works. I was like, hey kids, you guys want some ice cream? Here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna run down the street and stick one of these on every door. And then when we're done, we'll go get some ice cream. You know, grab some high school guys from your Bible study and be like, hey, here's what we're gonna do tonight. I'm buying barbecue when we're done, but we're gonna walk around and stick door hangers on the doors. Okay, but the point is you're gonna actually have a strategy for this is what I'm gonna do for this neighborhood every month, 12 months. You need to have at least 12 touches. The last thing is determine a plan to make it personal. Okay, so this is the part, this kind of gets into another item that I'm talking about, but I'm gonna put it in farming and I'm gonna put it in a different thing, is figure out a way to make it personal. Okay, I threw away a whole stack of stuff we got today in the mail. Postcards from politicians, from different people that came while we were out of town. Okay, but somehow you need to make, if you're going to farm and make it as productive as it can be, make it personal. At some point, it needs to have something about you. Like, not this is why I'm a great real estate agent. Like, if you're throwing a newsletter out that you send out to the neighborhood, have a funny story about you. Like, I'm trying to think of something, I can't think of something, but like, hey, this one time I was walking through the grocery store this week and it was so funny. These people were talking about this and I did this and then I grabbed the fruit and it all fell out and then we were all there and everybody was laughing. It was such a great blah, 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 blah. It's a funny, have you guys ever been in those places that have little newspaper things? And all it is like funny stories and jokes. You guys know what I'm talking about? You know what I'm talking about? I forget what it's called. It's like a 2-sided thing. It'll normally be in like little like deli places and stuff. But my point is it's out there because it's interesting. People want to connect with people. So maybe you're putting news that actually has a story about you that has nothing to do with real estate. It's just a funny anecdote that they can connect with. Oh, yeah. The guy sending me this postcard was the same guy back here. Go to the neighborhood. How you doing? Just making my rounds in Woodland Glen. So, trying to remember her name now. Of course, I would draw a blank when I'm supposed to remember the name. I'll remember it in a minute. I'll get it in there. Anyway, like we lived in Lancaster Park for a while over here in Broken Arrow. Mobley, yes. Suzanne Mobley, yes. See, my wife remembers Suzanne Mobley because she marketed our neighborhood consistently. And every few months, you would see her walking around the neighborhood, putting little things on the door herself. Hey, how y'all doing? I'm just making my rounds again. Put some cute, great recipes on your door. And she just walk around and pass them out. But you started to put a name to the face. As a realtor, I was a realtor. I was actually a broker at that time, living in the neighborhood. And I was like, yeah, I ain't marketing this neighborhood. I didn't like nothing I'm going to send out is going to commit that is going to offset or beat out a personal human connection. So we're going to talk about some cool tech stuff on Tuesday at our office meeting. But like one of the things they were talking about is all the tech in the world, all the AI, all the things that are out there is never going to offset you. Okay, you are a person, you are a human, and people are intentionally going to want to connect with human people. So try to find a way to make it personal. I have no idea how long I'm taking, but I'm going. Prospect call. Okay.
9:40.
Got all the time in the world. Prospect call. So this is using your phone. It's this really cool piece of technology we got where you type in some numbers and you can talk to anybody you want. Like in person, they can hear you. It's immediate. They have a conversation.
Where do you get those?
You get those. AT&T, lots of places have them. If you don't want to be traced, you can get your burner phone. I mean, we can talk about options. We'll be talking about some things that are coming up that'll actually redirect and define your number as something different, which is really cool. But anyway, that's for another meeting. Prospect call. So first off, who is our target audience? Sit down and go, hey, you know what? I want to make some prospecting calls. This is who I'm going to call. So these could be cold calls. I'm calling a neighborhood. I'm calling a neighborhood that I'm also farming. I'm going to pull their phone numbers and I'm going to sit and phone call them. This could be, more importantly, this should be people, in my opinion, that you know, or really more so, people that know you. That's where I would recommend starting with these. Okay. having the phone call, making the phone call. Someone the other day, so I'm on a bunch of different things on Facebook. One of the things is a real estate mastermind. And someone said, hey, I'm a real estate agent. I just relocated to a different area of the country and trying to start my business over here. Do you guys have any input or thoughts on how I can create leads in a new market where I don't know anybody? And then it said, ... Please don't tell me cold calls. Okay. But it's a great avenue. Like, one of the things I hate about Keller Williams is the fact that they shotgun everybody. But I guarantee one of the things that's great about Keller Williams is they convince people that making phone calls makes a difference. And if you talk to anybody in Keller Williams that's a Keller Williams guru that is successful, they will tell you, we make calls. We had lunch with some people from Keller Williams a while back, and they're highly successful. They're probably, I don't know, 10, $14 million as an agent. And they're like, well, most of our business now is predominantly referrals and past clients. I mean, we still make our calls. And that stuck out to me. Because this is a guy doing 14 million, but he's like, but we still make our calls because he recognizes there's a value to prospecting and making phone calls. And so again, make it tangible, make it part of your schedule, time block out, say, listen, on Tuesday from 9 to 9. If you can't do a lot, do something. So again, I'm going back to the health line. If you can't run 3 miles, run a mile. If you can't run a mile, run a half mile. If you can't run a half mile, walk a block. We saw a lady, one of the people at the program was talking about how they run a mile every single day. It was 160 something days in a row they had done it. Like they're in some group that holds them accountable that they got to do it every single day or else they get kicked out of the group. Like it's harsh. Like if you don't, they had to take a picture.
They had to do their mile, at least a mile, take a picture and post it.
They had to take a picture, post it to the Facebook group, and document that they had run a mile to basically prove that they had run a mile every single day, no matter what, or you get kicked out of the group. And they had done it for like 160 days. But she was talking about like she's been running forever, done marathons, half marathons. She's a runner, but just doing that consistently every single day, she's seen massive health gains from being able to do it. And what she said, her time dropped from like 12 minutes down to like 8-minute mile. Not because she's like racing anybody, she's just going out running, but just the habit of doing it consistently. We tell you it all the time, I repeat Jerry James, consistency is undefeated. Makes them so when you're doing this, figure out what the target audience is going to be. This is going to be this group of people that I know, it's going to be this group of people from a neighborhood, and make a plan. And if you've got 500 people, guess what? I don't have to call 500 in one day, but make a plan that goes, hey, on Mondays and Wednesdays, from 10 o'clock to 10:30 is when I'm going to make my calls. I'm going to time block that out. And that may be that I have one call. So I Mark Fowler used to be with us a while back. He's not in real estate anymore. But, he started making phone calls based off of this concept. And he was like, okay, this is going to take a lot longer than I thought. And I was like, it is? Why? Like, what's going on? He's like, well, every time I call and I get somebody on the phone, it ends up being a 20 or 30-minute conversation. That's a phenomenal conversation. That goes back to the referral side of like, he's top of mind with that person no matter what, And so maybe you can't call 100 people. Maybe you can't call 10 people. Maybe you can't call 5 people a day. But if you make some phone calls and go, hey, consistently every single day on Tuesdays and Thursdays from 9:30 to 10:30 or whatever, this is when I'm going to make my phone calls. I'm going to make those calls. And if I get a hold of 0 people, okay. If I talk to 2 people, okay, whatever it is, it's just part of that repetition, part of that plan. When you figure out this target audience, you need to know what is the value proposition that I'm offering them. You got to have something that you're telling them about, okay? Hey, my name is Jared. You've known me for 25 years. You have never sent me anybody to buy or sell a house, and I want to understand why, because I am freaking awesome. Okay?
I'm going to use that one.
Yeah. So I don't know if you guys see, there's a clip that's running. I'm so off track, but there's a clip that's running where like the lady's talking to all these little Girl Scout, and she's like, so I'm going to tell you, if you don't buy my Girl Scout cookies, I'm going to kill you or something crazy.
I'm gonna die, or
No, she's like,
I'll kill.
she's like, if you don't buy all my Girl Scout cookies, I'm going to kill you. And then one Girl Scout troop is going, no, don't say that. Don't say. And the other Girl Scout troop is like, yes, that's kind of like that, But figure out what is the value proposition you're offering, and you need to spend some time thinking about this and talking about this with somebody else. What is it that I'm going to say on a phone call in 30 seconds that is going to be able to communicate what it is that I am wanting to do for them, or why it is, and that may be different for different people. For people that really, really know you, that's a different thing. Like people that really, really know me, that know that like, man, we walk in integrity, we walk in character, we don't cut corners, we're gonna do it right. I can call and talk to them and be like, hey, just trying to touch base with you guys. As you know, me and Susan, we do real estate stuff all the time, and we're just trying to reach out to people who really know us. We'd love to have the opportunity to work with anybody that you know that's looking to buy or sell this year. So if you think about it, would you mind just keeping us in mind? I mean, you know us pretty well, and you know the level of integrity we operate our business, and we just want to be able to offer that to people you know. I don't have to do any more. I've already communicated. This is the value proposition I bring. The integrity that you know me for is what I want you to pitch to your friends. And they go, you know, that's right. Jared and Susan, they're awesome. I probably should mention that to this. Well, actually, you know what, Jared? This is someone who's looking to buy or sell. You know, maybe it's someone who's connected to your landscape business and they know the quality of work. And you're talking, hey, I don't know if you knew this or not, but I'm actually a real estate agent with Remax Legacy here in Broken Arrow. And I would love to work with anybody that you know that's looking to buy or sell. You know, I work very hard to carry the same level of quality in my real estate business that I carry with my landscape business. And they now are identifying what that value proposition is. You're high quality, you know, or your high communication, whatever it is. But figure out what that is. When I say figure out, if I say figure it out or plan it or process, that means write it down. Write it down and have a specific clarity of exactly what that is so that you can communicate it. I already talked about time, common, recurring, and consistent. Practice before you prospect, okay? So if you got to say, hey, I know who I'm going to call, I know what I'm going to say to them, I know when I'm going to do it. I got it all planned out. I'm going to do it every Tuesday at 9 o'clock for 30 minutes. I'm going to tell them I'm freaking awesome, and I'm going to demand that they give me their clients. That's what I'm going to do. Great. Now call me up. Call Susan up. Call someone else in the office. Call Pam. Pam would love to have a conversation. She loves. And you call and say, hey, Pamela, can I borrow you for 15 minutes? I'm going to make 3 phone calls, okay? You ready? Hold on. Hi, Pamela. This is such and such and such and such. Okay, how did that sound? Oh, okay, yeah, that's not what I wanted to say. Yeah. Okay, let me try again. And I guarantee that there's not an agent in this office that wouldn't give you 15 minutes of their time, 20 minutes of time. Me or Susan happy to do it. To let you run through, because I guarantee people all the time. I put stuff up here on the screen that I plan to say a certain thing about, and then I get up here and I start doing it, and I go, well, that's not that. Hold on, I gotta backtrack and make sure I cover that. So practice that. Again, coming back to that thing we talked about at our last class, you know, if you practice it and you know exactly what you're going to do, then when you get on the phone and start talking to them, it's super easy because you already know what you're doing and it's not like you're figuring it out. Plus, we want to be professionals. You want to sound professional. You want to be professional. You are already professional. We just want to make sure that's being conveyed when you talk to people on the phone.
Practice makes perfect.
No, practice makes permanent.
Yeah, there's no perfect though. Don't try
Practice.
to I like that.
Especially in our industry. Like when we say all that practice makes permanent, in our industry, it's more so than anything because if you say something to somebody, that is what they are going to remember. And if you said it wrong, they're going to remember it wrong, sometimes exponentially more wrong than you actually said. I'm going to steal something from Stephanie's husband that I got from him years ago. He tells this to people all the time. You don't practice until you get it right. You practice until you can't get it wrong. So what I'm going to communicate to clients when I'm making these phone, I want to make sure that I've run through it enough times, both through my mouth and through my mind, that when I get on the phone, I know it's not going to go wrong. I know that I'm going to be able to communicate what I want to say. Susan was giving me a hard time this morning about the class we thought, and she's like, yeah, I remember that one time in the class you said this. It's like, thanks, whatever. You know, she's like, maybe that's why they didn't like the class. I think that's the reason. But sometimes I make flippant comments that I probably should just eliminate, you know. Practicing until I don't do that anymore is the idea. Anyway, so canvassing. I'm going to tell you that this is a year where people that used to do this for years, we talked about it a lot in our meetings, people are going to have to get back to the fundamentals. When you lose a basketball game, going back to the gym and practicing fadeaway half-court shots is not going to make the difference. you can be like, hey, if I had made that half court shot, we would have won the game. But going back and practicing that is not really the result that you want to do. What you want to do is you want to go back and you want to practice your fundamentals, your footwork, your dribbling, your layups, all the basic things that should have put you in a position where winning or losing wasn't a question. Not trying to figure out how to tip the scales in a risky situation. And so it's going to be imperative, and our goal for the next few months, like we were talking this morning driving in about, we are actually going to ramp up class opportunities. We're going to start having more classes more often with more subjects. We have like, I don't know, like we've talked about like 12 different classes, that we're talking about. So we're going to ramp up classes because we believe that our agents have got to be as professional as possible, and they've got to get back to the fundamentals of real estate, which people have not been teaching successfully for the past year and a half or 2 years. And a lot of agents haven't been doing it. And so when we talk about expireds and for sale by owners, and we talk about calling referrals and prospects, these are fundamentals that have been part of the real estate business for decades that people have gotten away from because the market went so crazy. We saw, I wish I had this slide. We're going to have, hopefully we'll have some slides before the office meeting, but there's like a market data sheet that was talking about price increases over the last 4 decades. And it's like, and it had gone from like, was $160,000, and just talking about the insanity of when you look over history, both market interest rates, like I said, interest rates, even inflation, though it's high, isn't out of balance with history. But when you look at price increases, the last 18 months, they were. And so, anyway, all that to say, we've got to get to some fundamentals. Canvassing is one that was a fundamental of real estate that people probably haven't done in years. So this is talking again, a lot of times this is going to overlap with maybe where we're calling or where we're farming, but finding a neighborhood and pick great shoes. Have a great smile. Have something to leave. So
What do you mean pick great shoes? Comfortable shoes?
comfortable shoes.
Okay. Just make sure.
I got my good tennis shoes on, and I'm
They
going
can
over.
look good too.
Yeah.
I'm going over to Woodland Glen. Okay, I'm going over to Woodland Glen. I got some good shoes. Me and my wife are going to go over there. We've got our smiles on. Our mind is right. Our attitude is right. We're smiling. We've got something to hand them, to leave them, a flyer, a business card, an M&M, a Reese's peanut butter cup, whatever. Maybe we grab some candy. Whatever it is, we're gonna like put something in their hand so they are getting something from us. That is the idea. I want to give something to them that they get. I will probably come up with something punny to say. I can't think of anything about it. I give them a Reese's peanut butter. It's like peanut butter and chocolate, baby. Me and real estate, that's how we go together. Let me know if I can, whatever. I don't know, think of something. But I'm gonna have something to record the data. I'm gonna take a clipboard, a computer, a laptop, an iPad, something that I can use quick and easy, so that if I start talking to somebody and I get a conversation going, I'm like, oh yeah, we've been thinking about selling. We're probably not looking until maybe later this summer, but that's something we're thinking about. Oh, great. Do you mind if I take down your name and just an email, and I'll shoot you over some data market for the neighborhood because I'm in here all the time. Like, this sounds like a lot of work. I will tell you, there are people who built huge businesses. So what was that guy's name? X or Q or Q. So if you go search Remax University for videos, you go to your Remax University, search for Q. He's a guy that was a football receiver for Mississippi State College, got his degree in accounting, got out of college, and got his job, and was like, accounting sucks. I do not like this. I do not want to do this. So he went and got his real estate license. Okay. And he came up with this mindset that real estate needs to be like football. And he talks about it. He's like, in football, I can score all the touchdowns I want in one game, but none of those carry over to the next game. I have to score them again. So he's like, I made a point system for me. I need to score points. I'm a football player. I got to score 4 points every day. And if I actually, sell it, close a deal, I get 4 points, my day is done. But if I get a contract, I get a listing, or if I talk to somebody new, and it was like a half a point for talking to somebody new, but he's like, I have to do this every day. And he goes, if 11 o'clock rolls around and I haven't scored my 4 points, guess what? I'm on the phone, I'm texting, I'm trying to find somebody new to talk to so I can get my points. But I think he did was it 500 and something? No. He did 55 million in sales his first year, I think. Okay. Talking about a guy who had no real estate background, just a young guy, but he was willing to go out and do the work. So he would literally go knock door to door in neighborhoods. Hey, how y'all doing? I want to sell your house. Would you like to get a big pot full of cash? There's a big old pot full of money. Can I sell your house? No? Okay. Do you know anybody that wants to sell that? Like he had no problem asking his ask, but he would go out. Like one of his stories in his first year is he would go sit in new construction neighborhoods. You may have heard me tell this one because it's my favorite. He'd go sit in new construction neighborhoods. He'd go drive down to a Roscommon neighborhood, pull right inside the neighborhood, and just sit there in his car. And he would watch. And a car would pull in, and he would see it drive around the back of the neighborhood. And then he'd see it driving back up to the front. He'd get up and go, hey, how y'all doing? Are you guys thinking about buying a house in here? You like what you see? Oh, you are? Well, I'm a real estate agent with Remax. Here's my card. I'd love to help you in that process. Would you like to go look at one? Was there one you saw that you liked? I've got the keys right here. Let's go take a look at it. And he would pick up clients because they're going to buy. They came to that neighborhood. He's like, I already know where they want to buy, what they want to buy, and how much they can afford. All I got to do is go show them the house and write the contract up. And I had told that story to I don't know how many people, and they're like, "This is an awesome idea. That sounds like a great one." I go, "Yeah, but here's my question: would you be willing to go sit in your car for several hours a day at the front of a neighborhood waiting for that opportunity? I'm going to go sell a $250,000 house by Roscommon. I'm only going to get 2%, so that means I'm going to get a $5,000, $6,000 commission. Would you be willing to sit in your car for a $6,000 commission?" Like when you ask people, "Hey, you want to sit in your car on a hot day in June in Oklahoma for 4 hours?" I'm not going to do that. So for $6,000, you wouldn't sit in your car for 4 hours? Again, it comes back to, are we willing to do the work to be professional? Anyway, when I have something to record today, I'm actually making notes of who I am, who I'm talking with. This is something, though, that it sounds crazy, and it is high time involved. Because you're going to go walk a neighborhood, it may take you 2 or 3 hours one night to walk a whole neighborhood. Okay? But you'll find that statistically, if you do that, you'll walk away with a lead. Like if you went and walked Woodland Glen tonight for 3 hours, you got over there at 5 o'clock, 4:45, and you started walking the neighborhood, and you walked that whole neighborhood. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It's maybe 9 or 10 streets. I would bet you'll probably walk about maybe 4 miles, maybe 3.5, 4 miles of actual walking. There's probably 260 houses, I bet. Okay. But I would almost guarantee that if you went and walked it, knocked on doors, said, "Hey, how you doing? My name's Todd. I'm with Remax Legacy. I'm just walking around the neighborhood saying hi to people, passing out bags of candy. Hope you guys are great. Here's my card." I would almost guarantee that at the end of the night, you would have someone who wanted to buy a house, wanted to sell a house, or both. So I'm going to point out, like Pamela sat here with us one day, and we started making cold calls to the neighborhood. And at the end of the day, she had 4 potential leads. Isn't that right? 4?
Yes.
And you were here for like, what, an hour and a half?
Yeah.
You know?
Great
But
conversations with them and added them into my database. And now I just reach out, and when they're ready, I'll probably be there. So,
but again, there's a
and that wasn't even canvassing, that was just calling.
Yeah.
That was when you had that class.
we did like a little call
That
session.
was cold.
But again, in person is 10 times more powerful an opportunity to convert.
Absolutely.
But again, it's a numbers game. I'm sitting down and going, okay, if I need to sell this many houses a year, that means I have to create leads for myself. How am I going to create the leads? What am I going to do? And planning going, okay, well, on Monday from 10 to 11, I made phone calls to my referrals. And on Tuesday from 10 to 11, I made phone calls for my expireds. And on Wednesday, I went out from the evening from 6 to 8 and I canvassed the neighborhood. And on Thursday, and having a plan in place of what I'm going to do to create leads. And again, if you'll notice today, we're not talking about jumping on Facebook, "Hey, is anybody looking to buy a house? I'd love to help you." Okay, we're gonna talk in a minute about social media, but these are proactive. You initiate, you create the opportunity, you create the conversation. If you guys ever see Kate and Leopold, it's an old movie. It's okay, it's a fun movie if you want to go watch a fun romance. It's a movie about this guy from like the 1800s that's super engineering minded, super creative, doesn't want to be like his aristocratic self, and somehow he falls through like a wormhole and winds up in modern times. Okay, but he's like this very like refined person, and you know, he pops through and winds up in modern day New York, and it's with Meg Ryan and Hugh Jackman, and I forget what the other guy said is like kind of a funny guy. But anyway, in this movie, this refined guy who's now in modern times is walking around New York, and he's got his buddy here with him that he's met. That's this young guy who's really likes this girl and wants to try to do it. And finally, they get this opportunity, and he gets the number, and the guy's calling the number, and he's like, "What are you doing?" He's like, "Oh, I'm calling her right now, and I'm just gonna leave her a voicemail message, so that way the ball's in her court." And he's like, "No. You don't understand the telephone thing, but you misunderstand." He's like, "You don't ever want the ball to be in her court. You want the ball to stay in your court." Like, there's so much wisdom in that. As agents, I don't want to be like, "Ding, I left them a message, ball's in their court. I guess I'll wait for them to call back." I want to be running my business and being proactive to where the ball is always in my court. I know what's going to happen in my business. If you're waking up in the morning as a real estate agent and you're like, "I have no clue what to do and I have no idea if I'll ever have any business," you've got to change your business. You've got to change your business model. It's got to be a proactive approach. And these are things where you start to map them out and go, I mean, I literally have talked about stuff that you could do an hour a day each day. And if you did it consistently, your business would explode. And we're talking about 5 hours a week of time. Canvassing maybe is 3, because that's more time sensitive. So you go, okay, well, one day I'm going to do expireds, one day I'm going to do referrals, one day I'm going to do prospect calls, one day I'm going to do, you know, farming stuff that I'm going to send out for that month. And honestly, that's only like once a month. I mean, very minimal time, but it's about consistency. Oh, last thing, if you go canvas, make sure you know where you are in the market. Like, spend some time studying the neighborhood, evaluating, looking at the market data, how many houses have been selling, how many houses have been closing, what is the average price? Because I guarantee you're going to make it 6 houses down, knock on the door, and someone's going to, "Oh, well, so what is the price point of our houses right now? Like, where is our market at?" And you go, "Actually, houses in this neighborhood have sold for as much as $245,000. I guarantee if you're walking through Woodland Glen and you tell us something, they're going to be, "What? Are you serious? I bought my house for $145,000 like 5 years ago. It's worth $100,000 more." Well, I don't know for sure. I can't say with certainty. I'm just telling you that houses in this neighborhood have sold for $245,000. If you'd like, I mean, I'm happy to come in and walk around right now and take a look, and I can give you an idea of how your house compares. If you want me to do like 10-second nickel tour, I'd be happy to do that. Yeah, sure, come on in. Or, you know, if you want to set up another time, I'd be happy to come back and bring market specific data for your house, exactly the size, data. I can pull that together for you. But again, you need to know where you're at. You, especially if you're going to go, well, you need to know where you're at no matter what, but make sure you do a little bit of research to find stuff out.
I have a question.
Yes.
You said, you know, you could do this one night, that's one.
Mhm.
Do you have, what is your opinion on what would be more effective, to put each of these into practice one day a week, or to like choose one thing and let that be your thing? Or what do you think is the best?
I think, sorry, I'm pulling up my notes for the other part of stuff we're talking about. I think the most important thing is that what you'll do. So again, I'll tell you a story. Doctor one time was talking about how they evaluated 19 different weight loss programs. And they did this whole study for 19 different weight loss programs. And he's like, "You know which one was the best?" And I was like, "No, which one was the best?" He's like, "Whichever one people actually did." It didn't matter. You want to do Slim Fast, you want to do Jenny Craig, you want to do Go Low, you want to do Advocare. It doesn't really matter what one you do, as long as you actually do it. So what I would do is go, hey, if I'm having an issue finding time to do stuff, I'll pick one and then do that consistent. And then once I've got in a habit of doing that one thing, maybe I'm going to call expireds every Monday morning after stuff fell off for the weekend, or every Monday and Tuesday, whatever. Get that in your system and get to where you develop the habit of doing that. And once you've got the habit of doing that, then go, hey, I think I want to add something else, or I think I can add something else. But But the thing is, what are you gonna do consistent? Because that what you do consistently is gonna bring results, and not what you do sporadically is probably not. So, does that answer your question? Okay, so social. I have a couple more slides here, and then I've got just some random stuff I'm gonna throw at you. So social media. Biggest thing about social media, apparently I need to like get some better glasses. Reption. For social media, whether it's Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, there's other ones that you could add in here. I just use these as an example. Repetition and consistency. Okay. I need to have a system in place. We're going to talk on Tuesday about some great things that are coming down the line that are going to make this super easy, like automatic for you. But repetition and consistency, both repetition of what I'm putting out there and consistency of what I'm communicating. Okay. Like I know there's an agent, I don't know if they're still in Disney, but like you'd see the one like, oh, so awesome, I sold this house for my clients. If you guys need anything, give me a call. Life sucks. Nobody anymore. So you're like, well, there's not consistency there in the message that I'm putting out. Or like there were a lot of agents, I'm gonna say this anyway, probably shouldn't, but there were a lot of agents on Facebook for April Fools, put on their social media, their business page. Hey guys, after a lot of thought and consideration, I've decided to step away from the real estate market to pursue some new opportunities. I'm super excited. And they have these super long posts about how they're going to go do something new. And at the end, like you literally had to click on it, click to show more to try to see what they're doing. And at the very end, there's like, haha, April Fools. Hope you guys had a great holiday. I'm like, what? We'll never do that. We'll never recommend doing that because most people are not going to click to read it all.
It's gonna go, oh,
And then they're going to go, oh, they're no longer in real estate.
There, smile. 1, 2, 3. All right, thank you.
So, singularity of your value proposition. Okay, make sure you have a clear definition of the value proposition that you're providing. Okay, so like, I'll point out like on social media, a lot of my marketing is about land. Buy land, build a legacy. I'm on a horse, looking all countrified, whatever. Okay. Susan stuff is more about like it's feel and cozy and home and like I don't even know how to like tangibly put words to it, but all of her stuff has a certain kind of communication that's consistent in the feel of her stuff. Doesn't always say like verbally say the same stuff, but it has a consistent feel to it where it's singularity in the value proposition, whatever, so that people start to recognize like you are your brand. I don't know if you realize this. Remax is a brand for your brokerage. Okay, you may have your business name. Triple Nickel Real Estate is the brand for your business entity, but for the service and the real estate services you provide, you are the brand. How people feel, think, and talk to you, and how they feel when they talk with you is the brand that you have created. There's a reason why people that work with me want to work with me, and people that know me but would rather work with Susan want to work with Susan, because that's the brand they want. They want the cozy and the sweet and the soft and the let's think through this and process and what does this look like and soft conversations and not so harsh. And people that work with me are like, dude, it sucks, man. Screw this house. Let's get out of here. Okay, let's go. But they like that. Like that's their
give me the bottom line.
Give me the bottom line. Shoot me straight. Like that's and so that's the brand that you're putting. So you want to make sure that's being communicated in what you're posting. Like if I tried to post like sometimes years ago, I did this couple, I got posted a couple posts, and like that was a really cool post. And it was like this cup of coffee with the steam coming out, and it's making the Remax balloon in the steam, and it's a little book with the window looking at. And I was like, that's a really cool post, but like zero engagement from it. Okay, why? Because that was completely contrary to my brand. That would be a Susan brand, might be a Stephanie. I don't know, someone else might like. I don't drink coffee. I definitely don't sit and look out the windows reading little like how-to books to better myself. Completely contrary. So make sure you have singularity in what you're posting, because they're gonna, especially people who don't know, you're gonna try to identify with that. And even if you get there, they're not gonna connect. Duplicatable process. So if you're using social media to try to create listings opportunity, make sure you have a process in place. This should feed into your listings. I listed a property. I'm going to use social media to market the property I'm listing, and I'm marketing the properties that I'm listing, not to create sales of those houses, which that may be a byproduct of it, but I'm marketing those listings so that I create more listings. When people see an agent that has 13 listings consistently and they're constantly changing, they're like, that's the agent I want to sell my house, because they apparently do a lot of listings. Okay. A point of connection and action. Your social media is an absolute waste of time to create leads for you if you don't have a point of connection or a point of action that they can engage with. So if all I'm doing is just throwing stuff out there and going, here's a house, here's a house, here's a house, here's a house, they're never going to be able to respond to that. So all it is just name recognition stuff, which is not bad. But if I'm trying to post to create listings, I want to make sure that the stuff that I'm posting has a point of action to connect. I just sold this house, super excited for my clients. This is what I love about listing properties. If you're looking to buy or sell, if you're looking to sell your house sometime soon, click on the link below and fill out a quick questionnaire, and I can get you a value proposition or a value evaluation of your home. You know, maybe it's a home valuation, maybe it's a, hey, click here to see if you're actually ready to sell your house. I've got 3 questions for you. And it clicks and it goes to a Google form that they fill out. But figuring out ways for point of connection and action. So I'm going to take this and I'm going to wrap back around to the farming. You can actually do farming with social media. So particularly LinkedIn is probably the best one. But with LinkedIn, you can do some stuff where you can actually create lists that pulls doctors or pulls lawyers or pulls teachers. And you can actually start farming what you're sending out to those people. Similar to Facebook marketing, where Facebook marketing can do geo stuff. I can market this map area, but LinkedIn has the ability to do it by trade. I am not an expert on that, so I'm not going to act like I am. I'm just going to say that that is something that can be done. If it's something you want to look into doing, let me know, because all of it is driven by what your job is, what industry you're in, career. That's how it's going to group stuff. So we've had people in the past that have done marketing specific to LinkedIn, where they marketed to just teachers, you know, or they marketed, like the person I think that did marketing specific to teachers, but you can actually do some farming via LinkedIn. That's trade specific. Okay. Oh yeah, this is the main one. Perspective. Okay. Sorry. I contemplated when I put something about LinkedIn there because it's the truth. Most people don't progress because they place limits on themselves. I can't make phone calls. I don't do expires. I'm not the kind of person to call and ask for a referral. Whatever it is, it usually just shows up in the form of excuses as to why they can't. You've got to reframe your can'ts into cans and figure out, how do I take the limit that I'm placing on myself and reframe it to go, I can do this. I use the story a lot. I tell people all the time, the biggest limitation we have is right between our ears. I've got a friend of mine, works on his car all the time. Fixes stuff every time it breaks. He sent me tons and tons of pictures of cars he's had to fix because his or his son's or his kid's car broke and he fixed it. And it started one day, we were working, I was working in the driveway trying to help him replace his brakes because he didn't know what to do. He didn't know how to do it. He's like, I could never do this. I was like, that never is just between your ears, bro. That's the only thing keeping you from doing this and me doing it. And he was like, I can't do it. I'm like, it's already broken. Can't get any worse. And he bought into that, decided to believe that, and now has done tons of stuff. And it's the same thing for real estate agents. Agents that are like, oh, well, you know, I can't do that. Why? If you're not creating leads from referrals, if you're not creating leads from expired, you're already failing. Like, not to be mean, but it's the truth. If your business isn't growing as a result of doing what we just talked about, then your business is already failing. You just haven't given it a shot to succeed. If you go out and actually make some phone calls, actually reach out to some expireds, actually pursue some for someone, at least then you're failing and doing something to teach you, and it opens up the door for success. Go for No is a great book that talks about success is not over here and failure is over here, and we get to choose which direction we go. Success is here and failure is here, and we have to go through that failure to get to success. So we talked about Rudy that we watched last night. One of the things Susan was talking about this morning, sure, I thought it was so interesting that he did all that for 3 plays. He was in the game for 3 plays at the end, and that's all these years of struggle. But then when you look back, if he hadn't done that, he would have never learned that he was dyslexic. He would have never learned how to learn. He would have never learned how to get a degree And like she was actually researching like these businesses and things he did in the future that actually brought him the success as a person that he needed, that was driven by the idea for him that he was going to play football. But really, that was a blip on the map, but it was the driver that got him to accomplish all these things. And that's the same thing in real estate. A lot of times we go, okay, well, we're going to go pursue this thing. I'm going to go pursue for someone else. I'm going to pursue it. And that's why real estate is not a linear business, because we start to do the thing that we think we're going to go do. And what happens is along the way, we're learning how to do the things we need to do. We're learning how to communicate with clients, how to present value propositions, how to talk about house evaluations, how to do all these things. And all of a sudden we get to the end of the room, we go, hey man, I've been pursuing for self-owners for like a year and I've only listed 2. And I'm gonna be like, I guarantee I'll be like, yeah, you closed 22 transactions this year. Last year you closed 2. Like, I know you didn't do them for self-owners you thought, but apparently there's something. That's the way real estate is. It's not linear. As you start to do this stuff, you're gonna see that it's gonna develop all those skill sets to get you where you need. All that said, the most, I already said, yeah, I actually said that exact same thing. It's almost like I've said it before. Okay. Okay, thank you. Okay, so I'm gonna turn that off.
Do you want this off?
No, because I got a couple more things.
Oh, okay.
I'm gonna try
Is it
to,
recording?
Or it's not plugged in.
Is it recording?
yeah, it's still recording. It's just low.
Oh,
The battery's going low. Okay, a couple more things that we want to talk about. We're gonna just keep hitting on these from time to time at the end of our classes. So we just think there's some core things out there that communication is very important right now in the market. And so we're just gonna talk about a few of them. One of the things I think is very important is make sure when you're talking to clients that you're communicating to them where the market is at when they're buying and selling. Right now, it is a tough time because people might sell their house and then not be in a position to buy what they want, okay? Or they may be looking to, so I'm gonna start with that one. So you wanna make sure you're having conversations with people so that there's a plan and a process in place. We talked about this in our class last week where we, like, or whenever it was about, you know, communicating, hey, I have a process that's gonna help you make sure that when you get ready to buy a house, you're buying the house you want, and it's the house that actually is where you want to be. But if I'm going to accomplish that goal, I need to make sure I'm communicating with them from start to finish where the market is at, what to expect, how to navigate selling your house and also buying a house, and what the market looks like for buying, what the market looks like for pricing, what the price point is. Because this kind of clicks into our next one. What people can buy right now may not be what they think they can buy.
They might not
You
even
know.
be able to buy what they're selling.
Yeah, they may not even be able to buy the house that they're selling. So if they're thinking, hey, I can sell my $250,000 house and go buy my dream house for $350,000 house, they may find out that they can't buy their dream house for $300,000. Their dream house is now $600,000 or $500,000 or $400,000, whatever it is. You know, I had a conversation yesterday with a young lady who's like, hey, I want to buy, you know, a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house, and then I want an acre of land. And then like she looked at the first couple listings that got sent because there was only a few. And I just told her point blank, again, you got to be willing to have uncomfortable conversations with people. Point blank, the reality is that if you want an acre of land, you're probably not going to get the house that you want. And she literally called me back and goes, what? I don't understand this. I go, the reality is that when you're looking for something on an acre of land, the value of the house, the quality of the house, and how nice it's going to be is going to drop dramatically compared to just a house on a neighborhood lot. So there's a high probability in the price point you're in that you're not going to find a house that you like that's on an acre of land. You're going to have to make a concession for the house if the acre is really important. Or we can make a concession on the acre and we can send you houses that are in neighborhoods. And she was like, okay, that helps a lot. Go ahead and send me houses in neighborhoods. Because guess what? The acre wasn't the priority. The quality of the house is the priority. You know, I've got some other clients right now that they had a lot of wants. And I literally just have to tell them, listen, you're not going to find all that you want in a house. It does not exist. It's not going to happen. You need to just recognize that. And we need to start talking about what areas are you willing to make concessions on. You know, they wanted land, they wanted a big house, they wanted a pool, they wanted to have this kind of bedroom. Like, we need to talk about what is the concession that you're willing to make so we can try to find what you're looking for. But having those conversations to manage expectations for what buyers can buy and what sellers can expect. Sellers right now may be expecting, hey, I'm going to put my house on the market. I'm going to get this dollar because my neighbor got 200, and then that guy next to him 3 weeks later got 250, and the guy down the street got 375. So I think I can get 600,000. You need to have a conversation. it is still a strong market. It is still a great market to sell in. This is where the market is at, and this is what I think you can expect. You know, like I'll just pick on myself. I had a client last night. They're canceling the listing. They're taking their house off the market. We put their house on the market. I got them an offer $10,000 over list price. Inspections came back. The issue with the house was the exact same issues that I told them about in inspection, and the reason why I told them they wouldn't get 125. But I agreed to list it for 125 to try to see if we could get the, you know, highest possible. We'll put it out there and see what happens. And they're frustrated and they're irritated and they're mad that now that they got offered 135 and inspections came back, revealed exactly what I told them. And now they're down to being reoffered 125. They're mad and they don't want to take the 125. So they're just going to take the house off the market. Why? Because, you know, as much as I thought that I did a great job communicating, these are the issues with your house. These are going to be the obstacles that we have to overcome. These are going to be things that are going to stand out to potential buyers, and it's going to be an issue. We want to make sure to be very clear in our disclosures. Hey, these are things that are going to, as much as I thought that I did a really effective job, people are going to hear sometimes what they want to hear, which means, so my brother-in-law tells me, you got to say it 7 times. So sometimes people have to hear something multiple times. So we need to make sure that our communication definitely is helping people understand where the market's at, but also we may have to say it multiple times over and over and over again. Okay. Sorry, nothing closed.
What, and I think part of that goes back to that their plan, their next step was an out-of-state purchase. And when they thought they had the 135, they started looking according to that.
Right.
And then to be offered, you know,
2,000 less.
let's do less, they're like, okay, this doesn't work for our second step.
Just a few definition of terms that we want to make sure that we're up to date on. And so I want to encourage people, make sure you're reading through your contracts. There's areas of our contracts we haven't talked about in a long time because nobody cared. Just, I'll pay you $1 million and give me the house. Well, people are carrying it. The market has come back to a more normal place. So you need to make sure you're familiar with the contract. Make sure you're familiar with what are inclusions and exclusions. What comes with the house automatically? What doesn't come with the house? Make sure you're aware of what is a you know, a mortgage certificate versus a survey. What'd you say?
I thought you were gonna say fixture.
Yeah, make sure I know what appliances automatically stay with the house, what appliances don't. How do I define and determine that? And we're going to have some classes talking about listings and going over a lot of stuff in more detail. For buyers, what are current buyer strategies? You know, a year ago we were doing, you know, appraisal gap waivers and escalation clauses and you know, blah 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 blah. You know, that's where we're at now. You need to know what's going on right now. And if you're operating in a market that is a market you haven't offered in a price point recently, then give me and Susan a call. Hey, so what's common right now? Are people doing this? Are they doing that? Are they getting closing costs? What's common in this price point? And we're happy to try to help give you a feel for where that market is at. But you want to know that so you can communicate with buyers, because if you have a buyer that's looking to buy FHA and they're wanting to get closing cost assistance and they're planning to, you know, ask for the moon in inspections, that's still not a deal that's going to probably happen. So you need to have conversation. Just so you know, yes, FHA is getting opportunity, but they're still kind of viewed as kind of bottom of the rung for financing. So it's going to be a little bit of an uphill battle. I still think that you probably need to make sure you're in a position to cover your closing costs in that, because if you're not, that's going to push you down the rack of what offer, and just kind of being able to explain that to the client. So their expectation is there, you know. Again, Susan had a client that was looking, and I just pointed my told her, we're going to send you some stuff, but just realize this is going to be a tough market. There's very low inventory for you to choose from in the price point you're trying to be in. So just be aware of that. You know, again, just little things that are managing expectations as we walk through things. Clarifying with clients. So again, we just got a few bullet points. Clarifying with clients. Clarifying with clients what as is means. Okay? As is does not mean that they're not going to do inspections. As is does not mean that they'll take it no matter what. As is just means that you as a seller are not agreeing up front that you're going to do any repairs. They're still going to do the inspection process. They're still going to find what they're going to find. And if they don't like it, they're still going to come back and complain. I'm being kind of very direct in my communication, but you want to make sure you're outlining that expectation for your sellers, okay? Because when sellers hear the word as is, they think, I'm free and clear, we're done. And we're not free and clear. Back to these clients of mine, I told them, yes, it's as is, but yes, they can still do inspection. Yes, they can still come back if they have something they don't like. Yes, it's possible they still may come back wanting to have something fixed or saying that they're going to walk away from the deal because of this issue. As much as I said that probably at least 3 or 4 times to them, when the people came back and were like, hey, we want to reduce the price. As is means nothing, apparently. I kept telling you as is means nothing. I think I literally said those words, as is really doesn't mean a whole lot because they can still inspect and walk away until we're through that inspection time period. It doesn't really hold. But you got to communicate that as much as possible so that if nothing else, your client, hopefully your clients are better prepared. But if nothing else, you covered yourself in making sure you did your job so that they come back and go, well, you never said that. Well, yes, I did. I said it here and I said it here and I said it here and I said it here. We communicated it. You just want to listen. I really wouldn't say let's say client, but that's too long. I think those are the core ones that I want to talk about for today. Unless there's something else that you're remembering that I was going to say that I'm not. Okay, questions, comments, concerns?
Well,
Any of it.
meeting or anything?
Anything.
Because I got some stuff.
Like, I got them.
Oh,
I don't know if I want it on.
Okay, if you want to stop the record,
So, yeah, oh, sorry, I'm still trying to.
It touched the screen.